It all started at the quarterly HOA meeting. The kind that always felt less like a discussion about community maintenance and more like a courtroom drama starring the neighborhood's self-appointed queen, Karen. Officially, she was HOA vice chair. But everyone knew she wielded more power than the title suggested. Her clipboard was her scepter. And her voice, sharp as a whistle, could silence an entire room. That evening, I arrived 5 minutes early. Notes in hand, ready to bring up something minor, the broken lights near the pool. Simple enough. But as soon as I took my seat, I felt the tension in the air. Karen sat at the front table, perfectly upright. Her lips pursed so tight they looked painful. Her pearl necklace glimmered under the fluorescent lights. And beside her sat the HOA president, quiet, polite, and clearly terrified of crossing her. "Let's begin," she said, tapping her pen. "Before we start, I'd like to address some ongoing violations." Her eyes locked on me. I blinked. Violations. Karen dramatically flipped through her stack of papers, theatrically sighing. "Yes, Lot 27. That's you, isn't it? The one with the unapproved fence modification." I felt heat rise to my cheeks. "You mean the tiny lattice I added to keep my dog from escaping? I sent an email about that." "Oh, an email," she said, dripping sarcasm. "We require written approval. Not informal messages." She looked to the board members for support. But they avoided her gaze. The tension thickened. I tried to keep my cool. "With all due respect, Karen, I've followed every HOA guideline. Maybe there's been a misunderstanding." That word, misunderstanding, seemed to ignite her. Karen stood, eyes wide with mock outrage. "So now you're accusing me of mishandling documents?" "No, I..." Before I could finish, she gasped dramatically, pressing a hand to her chest like a soap opera star. "You're being aggressive," she declared. "I don't feel safe." The room fell silent. Aggressive? I was sitting down, speaking calmly. A few neighbors exchanged uneasy glances, whispering. Someone muttered, "Here we go again." Karen shook her head sadly, turning toward the board. "I think we need to reconsider this residence. Participation in meetings until an apology is made. This behavior is unacceptable." I opened my mouth to protest. But she was already packing up her papers. Announcing, "Meeting adjourned." It was over. Just like that. My neighbors shuffled out quietly, some avoiding eye contact. By the next morning, an official notice was taped to my door. "You are temporarily suspended from attending HOA meetings until a formal apology is issued to the HOA vice chair." I stared at it, speechless. Karen had staged a scene, and I was the villain in her performance. The notice spread faster than wildfire. By noon, 3 neighbors had texted me, "What happened? Karen says you yelled at her. Did you really threaten her?" Threaten her? I nearly choked on my coffee reading that one. I wanted to laugh, but it wasn't funny. Karen's version of events had already taken root in the neighborhood rumor mill. I decided to talk to my next-door neighbor, Linda, a sweet woman in her 70s, who baked cookies for everyone but somehow knew everything. When I knocked, she opened the door before I could even say hello. "Oh, honey," she sighed. "Karen's been telling folks you had an outburst at the meeting. Said she had to step in for everyone's safety." An outburst? "Linda, I was sitting the whole time." She gave me a knowing look. "I believe you. But you know how Karen is. She's got that way of turning stories around. People listen to her because they don't want to end up on her bad side." I sank onto her porch chair. "I just wanted to fix the pool lights, and now I'm public enemy number 1. Linda patted my arm. "That woman thrives on control. You're not the first person she's targeted." That part caught my attention. "What do you mean?" Linda leaned in conspiratorially. "Last year, she accused the Parkers of violating paint color codes because their front door looked too teal. She Got them fined $200. Before the board realized. She made up the color restriction. So, she's done this before, I murmured. Oh, many times. But this time, she's made it personal. I spent the next few days quietly gathering information. I read through HOA bylaws, checked old emails, and even printed proof that I'd submitted my fence modification properly. I had facts, timestamps, and approval receipts. Still, Karen had the upper hand, control of the narrative. She told people I'd screamed and disrespected authority. Even the board president wouldn't return my calls. I realized what I was up against wasn't bureaucracy, it was theater. And Karen was the star actress in a one-woman show titled "The Victim of the Aggressive Resident." Every story she told exaggerated further. Soon, she was telling people I had stood up menacingly and used threatening language. It was absurd. But I knew what she was doing. Building a story so dramatic that the truth wouldn't matter. And so, I made a choice. If she wanted a show, I'd give her one, just not the one she expected. The next HOA newsletter arrived that weekend, and there it was, my name. Resident Behavior Concerns, Lot 27 under review. No details, but everyone knew who that meant. My phone buzzed nonstop with gossip and half-sympathetic texts. I ignored them all and went to work on my counterattack. My first step was gathering witnesses. 3 neighbors who'd attended the meeting agreed to speak up. "You didn't raise your voice," one said. She was the one who got dramatic. I asked if they'd be willing to make statements. Anonymous, if possible, they said. People feared Karen like she was the queen of the cul-de-sac. Next, I drafted an official letter to the HOA board, not Karen, requesting a hearing to appeal my suspension. I attached timestamps, emails, and statements from attendees. Every word was calm, factual, and precise. 2 days later, I received an email. "Your appeal request has been noted. A special meeting will be held next Tuesday. Please refrain from further neighborhood communication until then." That line, "refrain from communication," reeked of Karen's influence. She wanted me silent. But I wasn't going down quietly. The night of the hearing, the meeting room was packed. Even people who rarely attended showed up, eager for round 2 of the drama. Karen sat at her usual spot, smug as ever, sipping from a stainless steel tumbler labeled Boss Lady. "Before we begin," she said, "I'd like to remind everyone that hostility will not be tolerated." I smiled politely. Agreed. I started by distributing printed evidence. My email to the board requesting approval, their acknowledgement, and the timestamp confirming receipt. Then I presented 3 signed statements from neighbors confirming I hadn't raised my voice. Karen's confident posture faltered. "That doesn't change the fact that I felt threatened," she said. Emphasizing felt like it was a legal shield. "I respect that," I replied. "But feelings don't override facts." The room murmured. I continued, "If every disagreement becomes a personal attack, then no resident can safely participate. That's not governance, it's intimidation." Karen shot up. "This is slander." "Actually," I said evenly, "it's documentation." The board president cleared his throat. "Karen, please sit down." For the first time, she did, quietly. The tension was thick as the board reviewed the papers. After what felt like hours, the president spoke. "We find no evidence of misconduct from Lot 27. The suspension is lifted effective immediately." Karen's face drained of color. The room erupted in quiet whispers. Some clapped. And for the first time, Karen didn't have a single word to say. Word spread faster than the original rumor. By the next morning, neighbors were congratulating me for standing up to her. The same people who'd avoided me last week were suddenly friendly again, eager to gossip about how Karen had been put in her place. I wasn't interested in revenge, though. I just wanted peace. But peace and Karen rarely existed in the same sentence. She started avoiding me, which was fine by me. But I noticed small, petty retaliations. A violation notice for improperly placed trash cans. Another for overgrown grass. My lawn was trimmed to perfection. Each one felt like her quiet way of saying, "You may have one, but I'm still watching." I kept every notice, every email. Documentation had saved me once, it might need to again. A few weeks later, I attended the next HOA meeting. People greeted me warmly this time. Karen sat stiffly at the front, her power dimmed but not gone. When the board president called the meeting to order, she stayed uncharacteristically silent. Halfway through, something surprising happened. Linda raised her hand. "I'd like to motion that we review HOA leadership protocols," she said. "Particularly regarding conflict handling and transparency." Several heads nodded. Karen shifted uncomfortably. "I second that motion," I said. It passed almost unanimously. The board agreed to form a committee, one that didn't include Karen, to review member complaints and behavior protocols. The irony was perfect. The woman who once used rules as weapons was now being measured by them. Afterward, as people filed out, Karen approached me. Her voice was low, sharp. "You think you've won, don't you?" I met her gaze calmly. "No. I think we all did. Now people can speak without fear." She scoffed and walked away. Over time, the neighborhood began to change. Meetings became calmer, more productive. The board started rotating leadership roles. And for the first time in years, people actually volunteered for committees. As for me, I became the unofficial reminder that standing up for yourself isn't disrespect, it's necessary. Sometimes I still see Karen walking her tiny dog, still carrying her clipboard like a badge of honor. But now, when she passes me, she doesn't make eye contact. And that's fine. Because in the end, she didn't just lose control of the HOA. She lost the script she'd written for everyone else. And I learned something important: when someone tries to stage a scene, the best way to win isn't to play your part. It's to rewrite the story.